The Rise of Africa, the continent, the diaspora, and BRICS explores the relationships that are affecting the global economy right now. This book explores the relationships of the African diaspora's influence on the African continent and why this is important in stabilizing relationships with an understanding of how BRICS impacts the future, good or bad. You can order your copy of The Rise of Africa today on Amazon.com.
NeoDiplomacy is the new currency. NeoDiplomacy is the new currency. The reason that I can say that is you have a couple of different factors occurring right now as we speak on the world stage. The dollar is being disrupted. Nations are no longer wanting to engage with the United States. But the third factor that affects each and every one of us is that there is a diaspora from the African continent that's willing and able to engage our brothers and sisters on the continent.
Well, shalom, salama, Yemi, shalom. Greetings to all my Israelite brothers and sisters from around the world, whether you're of the bloodline of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the house of Israel, or you're a Gentile grafted into the house under the blood of Yahusha HaMashiach. I welcome you this morning. This morning is Thursday, December 11th. And, as suspected, these next couple of, I'm going to say days, not really weeks, these next couple of days are really playing out in a very, very synonymous way, as you would see. And as we, I have to bring this on up that Yakoba was showing things to come. You now have the Danish. No kidding, the Danish are saying that the United States poses a security threat. A European, really ally in NATO. They want to seize all Greenland, and they don't know where the U.S. loyalties lie. And for the longest, a lot of people were very disingenuous, I would say. Because if you didn't know this place was always about not what it did for other nations, but it was actually what it did for itself. And people tend to forget, how do you count for slavery? Oh, well, that was just an unfortunate time in history and blah, blah, blah. They never apologized. Therefore, they never cared. Therefore, they approved their actions. And that means that if they've always approved that action, that means that anything else that deals with humans or human rights or anything related to that matter, don't be surprised. And now people are acting surprised that now all these things are happening. And now I have folks, they're emailing, and yes, yes, you have an escalation. Yes, yes, you have another provocation. And yes, you have more icing on the cake when it comes to a verdict at The Hague. Because these are how things are prosecuted. Why did you seize the oil tanker? Because we wanted to. We're suspecting. Right? They always say that suspecting. It's alleged. It's this, it's that. It's I can do whatever I want to do because I know that I am lawless. I know that my criminal behavior, let's just call it what it is, won't be checked by anybody. And now they're making the biggest case in the world for other countries to kind of have a inflection point of, wait a second, am I actually in war? Am I actually in this conflict? Am I actually dying? Am I actually being poisoned? Am I actually suffering a harmful consequence of my interactions and involvements with this particular nation? That's the question. I'm telling you, you may not understand it. You may not think about it. You may not even see it because they're not going to want to show it to you. But that is what is happening behind the scenes all throughout the world right now as we speak. They're now starting to see who is been throwing the rocks and hiding their hands. And now it is like literally the world's biggest gaslight in history that people are now realizing, oh man, I believe all of the issues in this world stem from these people, stem from this nation. So now people have to have these honest conversations. I'm telling you, when you go after the pockets, people are going to show out. They're going to show you who they really are. Will they humbly internalize their issues and try to ask for forgiveness and try to walk in a righteous path, or will they continue to do wickedness? This is literally a Proverbs moment as we are looking at this in real time. I want to get this scriptural out here because I have to understand. And look, we're saints, we're being worn out. We are being worn out. I'm running a little late. The live is a little peculiar because we're being worn out. But I want to come here. Proverbs chapter 10. The Proverbs of Solomon: a wise son maketh a glad father, but a foolish son is the heaviness of his mother. Treasures of wickedness profit nothing, but righteousness, I want to say it again, but righteousness delivereth from death. I'll let you all read Proverbs chapter 10. Because this, to me, is the biggest Proverbs chapter 10 moment in history, as we are seeing a nation, a confederation, because not just one nation, it's a couple in this, falling by the wayside. And I hate that I have to bring up my military analyst, geopolitical analyst, the hat, because understand, all we're doing is looking at prophecy and scripture being fulfilled. And understand nationally what's happening. You have people losing their jobs left, right, and center. You have folks that are trying to figure on out if they're going to be even employed next year. You have companies that are going to have to start declaring losses in the next few months within 120 days when taxes are due. You have companies, they literally are showing mom and pop shops, small businesses declining and going under left and right. I'm seeing strip malls, stores just going vacant. Real estate, even commercial real estate that's just sitting there collecting dust, unless you're a grocery store. And let me even put that caveat in because there's even grocery stores in the hood that's having problems. You have to make sure that you're double checking the freshness label to make sure that you're not eating something that has been expired. So then you're not dealing with stomach issues and pains and cramp, thinking that you have some sort of gastrointestinal issue going on. No, that's just food spoilage. But then I want to tell you about the food spoilage because you have now the CDC that's really defunct, and you have an FDA that's honestly in disarray. You have a nation in chaos. And it's such a chaotic scene that when people have to be confronted about everything that's going on, that's the problem. People don't want to be confronted with this. And you have, I'm going to tell you this, you have black folks, for some odd reason, black people are on page, or excuse me, on the same page. Black folks are seeing this for what it is. Look, we can go all about the spiritual, but let's just be practical. Why are you going to give money to people that hate you, that abhor you, that dislike you? Why? And then they want to say, "'Tis the season, Merry Christmas." Merry for who? I don't respond. I just say, "You have a good day." Because what they're really doing is, I want to think that I'm giving you a blessing, but it's actually a curse. Continue to stay in my curse because then I can hopefully get out of this funk. That's what they're thinking. I'm gonna shift the atmosphere. Joyous music. Let's go. Shift the atmosphere. Here comes Santa Claus. And then you ask them, well, do you even know what the black and where Saint Nicholas came from? From Russia, that they always then try to, you know, mix on up. And they'll even tell you that it was a black person that was a Russian. And you have to understand, a lot of the Yahudin, we were worldwide. But they don't like to tell you that. They don't like to tell you that we were literally over there in the Black Sea. Guess what? Parts of the Black Sea touch Russia. Surprise, surprise. We were scattered. We were scattered because why? Because we're looking for work, we're looking for opportunities, we're looking for safety. See, when safety fails, trust me, these folks, they're going to be scattering in droves. It's not going to be, we need to fight for this. No, a lot of them are, it's time to leave. Oh, you don't believe me? Oh, you need some precedent? What did we just witness in Ukraine 4 years ago? They weren't staying there to fight for their land. That's their land. They were born there. Nope. When those shots were fired, they up and left. They bounced. And remember, they bounced so much so that who were they trying to make stay? Come on now. Please tell me that those images haven't left your mind. Where you saw Africans being literally detained by the Ukrainian police. You had, they literally said, forget it. We're just going to walk over to the Russian lines. And they did. And they were evacuated and they were sent home. Yep, Africans were blocked from getting on trains. Trains to where? To Poland, to Czechoslovakia, the Czech Republic, to Romania. They were literally telling them, no, they got to stay and fight. They said, what? This isn't even our country. How are you going to make us stay and fight? Because again, at the end of the day, that's what they're heading for right now. And then they're going to say, black people, just like in Vietnam. Hey, you did such a great job in Vietnam and in Korean War. We want to employ your services again. Do you all see that setup coming? I certainly do. That's how you kickstart an economy. You get people working us, and then they get rich because they're getting the contracts as we're going to war. Do you see that equation? If you don't see that equation, they've done that equation literally for like the last 50, 60 years. And then they saw that we were looking at the equation and they're like, oh, well, wait a second. Let's do some SBA 8A businesses. And so we could do these loans. So it doesn't look painfully obvious. And for a lot of us, we're realizing and we're seeing this. Look, do you think that when they were talking about the draft thing 2, 3 years ago, do you think that that was just going to go away? No, they tell you things years in advance. The problem, like I stated, that they're going to have is that when they go, now we're talking about on a totally global strategic effort, globally speaking, it's not going to be easy for them this go around because what they're mad about is Africa is kind of getting their act together. And I say kind of, they're not all the way there, but they're realizing that they have been in a stupor for such a long time that they realized, man, we're getting poor while they're getting rich. This makes no sense. Shout out to the Sahel Alliance, because all of a sudden, three nations that's literally sitting in mostly sand are literally saying, we figured this on out. How come you haven't? And now you have coups, false coups, stage coups, who knows coups. Because now you have a lot of civil unrest happening on the continent, because a lot of people are saying, we're sick of this nonsense. We're sick of the puppets. We can't deal with that. And now these nations are saying, we need to do something, but we can't trust our traditional ally, the United States. We can't trust our traditional military arm in this global battle of vanity, i.e., white supremacy, i.e., pride, i.e., subjugation. Because we're going to lose on out, and we're not going to get our fair share in this cut. They don't take their rate anymore. They want a bigger rate. They see that their economy is collapsing also, as we're getting ready to near 39 trillion in debt, something that is wholly unsustainable. Oh, but we're saving Americans money. No, you're not. Oh, look at those tariffs. Yeah, look at those tariffs when shipping and exports, imports and exports have literally collapsed here in the United States. China's going to buy $12 billion worth of chips. They've only bought $10 million worth of chips. There's a gross miscalculation. That's less than 1%. So now understand, oh, we have a drug cartel that's made up, literally. It's made up, literally. And I think it's funny. I have to laugh. I'm even laughing at the whole thing with the interdiction. You all realize that they could literally just put a boat on out there and then stage an interdiction. A VBSS, that's what it's called. A vessel borne search and seizure. And then they could say, oh, well, this vessel was this vessel had that, this vessel suspected, this vessel suspected. We can't give you all that information because it's classified right now, and it's an ongoing thing. And guess what? They'll make it up. They'll make it up. And then years later, when people like me that still remember things like this, and they have the FOIA requests, and then they're asking for that FOIA request, and it will say, oh, this was actually an exercise, but we said it was an operation. Oh, that's a big deal. I'm going to tell you the reason why I believe, my opinion, the reason I believe it was an exercise rather than a actual operation. Let me tell you this. In all the exercises I've done, and I've done exercises for, man, how many years was that? At least 6 years. All your exercises are done during the day, mostly during the day when you have and when you want to have video. To show that the exercise gives it the media flair. Generally speaking, when you do have these types of VBSSs, these vessel borne search and seizures, generally speaking, they're done in the cover of night. Now, Yemen will do something different, and so will Iran. That's just because they do things different if you didn't know. Think about what happened with the US or the Alabama, I believe, back in the day. Remember Tom Hanks and them had a movie about it? Well, when you actually read the real report, and I got a chance to read it, so I can't go over too much of it verbatim. Those activities were done at night. That's the MO. That's how the US generally operates at night in the cover of darkness. Anybody can say, oh, well, we've had this intel, or we had this, or we had that. Because why? Because when people actually investigate it, and then they realize this makes no sense. This is why a lot of the news outlets haven't really investigated this. Because as I was looking at this, I'm like, um, I get it, but it makes no sense. It's more theatrics. For multiple years, and I'm reading something from this. And remember, they can script whatever they want to script. It's their reality. Everybody just has to honestly live in it. This is from the UK, or the Daily Mail. This is a dramatic moment when U.S. commandos stormed a Venezuelan oil tanker in a breathtaking airborne takedown amid ratcheting tensions in the Caribbean. Footage released by the Trump administration on Wednesday showed American forces swooping on the tanker in helicopters and rappelling down ropes. Troops with guns drawn darted on stairs to the bridge to take control of the vessel off the coast of Venezuela. Attorney General Palm Bondi wrote in a statement. Today, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Homeland Security Investigations, and the United States Coast Guard, with support of the Department of War, or from the Department of War, executed a seizure warrant for a crude oil tanker used to transport oil from Venezuela and Iran. For multiple years, the oil tanker has been sanctioned by the United States due to its involvement in an illicit oil shipping network supporting foreign terrorist organizations. Here's the thing. This is why I'm saying I'm not reading too much into this. No name was given for the stateless vessel, nor was it confirmed precisely off the coast of Venezuela the raid as the raid unfolded, where the raid unfolded, excuse me. You have literally zero validity of reporting. Those are some like gotcha get you reporting. It's gotcha get you. Okay, well, there was then some sort of oil forecasted pricing via the WTI. There was also some sort of Brent reporting. There was also some sort of even OPEC GCC reporting or things of that nature because that type of cartel, they report things like that, even if the oil is off of market. My question is there was even any oil on there? My question is, in that nameless, stateless vehicle, no name, it's easy just to throw and to float a tanker. Non-standard vessels. Y'all act like the U.S. doesn't have non-standard vessels. All right, float out our non-standard vessel and get some people on in there and stage the interdiction. See. Has anybody heard anything from the Venezuelans? From the Chinese, the Iranians, all the folks, all the things? Now they're saying, Maduro's saying, oh, we're going to take this. Now, I don't know if that is in response to the vessel, because think about this. It's not about the vessel. It's about they're trying to cause the fear that, well, your legitimate vessels are next. Is it? Now, to me, that is a very, very primal definition of the false flag. Just in my opinion, just saying. And when what they're gonna do is they're gonna sweep the story underneath, and then they're going to say, well, this is why we need to go on in because of all this and all that, and then they'll try to return this back to drugs, and this is why we did the vessel, and then they'll say, well, it's because also for drugs and terrorist organizations and oil and terrorist organizations. Like, do you all now understand these big leaps of logic that do not make sense? It was for a foreign terrorist organization, and now you're just happen to interdict it off of Venezuela. What is really the connection? Putting on my intel hat. Well, just throw them something. Throw them something. Because you have to understand, if they throw too much, then other nations, they have their intelligence wings, and then they'll start to put two and two together, and they'll say, these folks are lying, and then they'll say, well, this is definitely an intimidation tactic off the coast, and this is something that then also goes to the ICC, ICJ, right? You can't do whatever you want. We're past that 1980s mode of thinking. Chuck Norris is not going to save the United States. I'm sorry, he's not. Rocky Balboa and Rambo are not going to come in with first strike. It's not. You now have a people, our people, that are very disillusioned. You now have a people, our people, that have actually started to understand that, dang, I'm in service to a people that really do not like me. I'm in service to a people that will throw me under the bus and roll over me and not even ask, are you okay? Or even give me a drop of water. Alvin Halsey, you remember that, Admiral? Oh, he was a bad admiral. He was this. He must not have been that bad if he was appointed to Southcom. I'm just saying. And now you're going to start to see every trick that they can pull on out because I told you they're in desperation mode. This is called desperation. Oh, they're going to threaten this. They're going to threaten that. Did they really say that? What I believe is happening, just my opinion in the background, you already know that Russia and China is there. They've already offered their support. Shoot, they already took down a drone, purportedly a U.S. drone that Venezuela had shot down that was surveying the area. But again, my opinion, I don't believe that they actually have the manpower to pull off an actual landing. So guess what? They're trying to draw them out. There's no support for this in the United States. There's definitely no support for this amongst black folks. We don't care. Well, instead of, trying to have us deflect there, why don't you, fix this economy? Like we we understand these deflection techniques because we dealt with these deflection techniques all the time. Oh yeah, we're gonna get you some reparations. Yeah, yeah, we're gonna do that. But we gotta take care of the immigrant population crossing the border. We get all this, so we have that uncanny ability to cry foul. And they know that we get mad. That's why they limit us on our algorithms. Oh, we're crying foul. Why? Because we're able to make a great case. We're able to then come back and understand historical factors that then support our position. And then we find out that it's true. It may not be days, it may not be weeks, it may not be months, it may take years or decades. And it's like, oh, see, we told you. We told you so. We said this. We've been talking about this. See, we already knew CIA was planting drugs in the black community. See, we already knew this. See, we already knew all this and that. See, we already knew that they were putting chemicals in our water. See, we already knew how they were trying to poison our neighborhood. See, we already knew all this. How dastardly. No, we know how this thing works. And that bone wasn't for us, that was for his people. And honestly, yeah, that could be the case. They could repurpose that. You want to know how many hundreds of exercises where they do these types of seizure, these vessel-borne search and seizure events. Excuse me. Look, I don't know about you all. All I'm doing is I'm waiting until next week to see if them aliens are really going to be here. To me, that's a little bit more believable. Than this. It's a good hoax. To the uncouth, to the untrained eye, it's a good hoax. But then you have a brother like me that will then break this on down and say, let's consider, let's understand, let's think about. And that's been their MO in the Arabian/Persian Gulf. Whose ship was that really? And where did that incident really take place? We can't give you all that. It's still classified. It's still an ongoing effort that's producing more intel, and we don't want to give up sources because it could be a matter of grave national security consequences and see, when you've national security eyes things and covered things to death with the narrative that's not working anymore, nobody believes you. And this is the most, I'm sorry, this is the most untrustworthy. That's one thing. That's one thing that he can boast about. This is the most untrustworthy administration in US history. For that one, that's a A plus 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 plus. And not the economy. But didn't that word say that? Look, we're giving over to liars. So I'm not surprised. Is anybody surprised? I'm kind of like, oh, well, okay. So again, we shall see. That's what I am analyzing on this. But understand, there are a lot of people that do listen to this channel. There are a lot of people that understand or gain some understanding, but they'll never have the numbers reflect that. In the shadowed band state that we are. If you notice, everything that they promote is just foolishness that creates a detriment and a stain on our people. Now, if I was talking about Diddy, oh my goodness, here comes the algorithm. Diddy, 50 Cent, G Unit, look at that bad boy, look at that beef. Suge Knight said, nah, I'm producing my own Diddy takedown. Because you all out here having executive producers sitting in interviews and having shows on Stars. I'm trying to have my best Suge Knight impersonation. And I was in the car with Pop. I need to be doing the Diddy Takedown interviews. Here comes the 20s. 30 years later, here comes the East Coast, West Coast. Diddy interview, rap beef battle. Who produced you? I got the footage of Diddy in the streets with that baby oil lying in the streets. Who produced you? Dun, 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 dun. You have Drake coming on there with the Chronic. Oh. Yeah, I start talking about that. Oh, the algorithm will. That's what we want. Yes. We call this the Metamucil media beef. The geriatric get down. The Ben Gay Gottoms. Oh. Because time did not serve a lot of them well. Don't believe me? Ask Little Kim. I'm sorry. When I saw Little Kim the last time, I honestly thought that was a Halloween costume. I was like, oh my goodness. Do y'all remember the Michael Jackson movie that he had back in the day? When he tried to use that live animation movie, and I think he thought that like the kids would love it. That was the scariest movie to me, with that mask and everything else. Man, that was scary. I thought that she was on the remake of Thriller. I thought that was a Sora AI video. I said no. That's the price that they wanted to pay for Babylon. And now they need people like them to try to rally us up. Come on, one more get down for Babylon. Okay, if that's the case, I want all the records unsealed in the Vatican. And when those records are unsealed, I want a delegation provided by us, handpicked, to go there and see the records. Oh, if you didn't know, you don't have to worry about translations like that. Guess what? AI can do it. And guess what? You have that little handheld scanner, just whoop, 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 whoop. You have a team of about 50 people. You can get everything done probably within 6 months. and you put that into AI that we create, that we have, that's off their networks. Oh, what does this say? What does that say? Uh-oh. We have some major fines. Uh-oh. Now, see, understand. This is what they're setting up. They're setting up for the biggest okey doke in history. I was telling y'all, oh, you want your reparations? Sure, we'll pay you your reparations. Sure. You'll pay your reparations to a depressed economy, to a depressed dollar. Everybody gets a couple $1,000,000. See? It takes about $3 trillion just to eat. Well, we paid you your money back. Why are you getting mad? Y'all starting to see that now? I know that it was not necessarily visible to begin with before this inflation went totally astronomical. But yeah, no, yeah, just wait. Just wait. When this empire dies, they'll say, "Here's your reparations. Here's your dollars. We'll electronically transfer it on over to you in the bank." As they're now beyond quadrillions, they're at like septillions and whatever illions after that. Gold. They don't got no gold. You better go to Africa. You see what they're trying to do over there on the continent? They want their gold repatriated. Shout out to the Sahel Alliance. I'm telling you, they're not playing. Because remember the Bank of England, or excuse me, Bank of France. They've been trying to say, "Oh no, we can give you these loans. We can try to." They were even trying to have a scheme of parity with the franc. Oh, we'll actually evaluate the cipher and instead of 1 to 600, we'll be like 1 to 60. But then they realized that that would still be an issue. So they're like, "Nah, just give us our gold back. Repatriate our gold." Because remember, they have their gold, quote unquote, they got their gold over in France for quote unquote safekeeping. Yeah, yeah. Just like they're getting supposedly oil for safekeeping. You get what I'm telling you? Come on now. The game is up. The shenanigans are up. All right, family. I got to get up on out of here. I pray that you all have a blessed day. I pray that you all have something to think about and consider and you pray about. So then things are said to you plainly instead of in shadowy words. Because now you're seeing how this kingdom is, and now you're seeing how this kingdom is fallen. It's fallen. It's fallen. Everything now is going to be the age of, is that really true? Is that really real? Gee, I don't know, boo boo. If you'd like to support this channel, you may do so by, you can do so via Cash App, $COVAWK1. or PayPal or Zelle at kerosene@msn.com. Thank you all again. I had some trouble getting out the gate here. Your prayers do definitely help as I go into the lion's den again, known as the public school system. Don't just pray for me, pray for our sons and daughters that also endure through this. But one day our captivity will be ending. And you're understanding that the reality is their captivity is actually beginning. And I know that that's hard for people to really and truly understand. Their captivity is beginning. And it's crazy because I see it. I'm exposed to that every day. And all I could do is just shake my head and be like, well, it is what it is. So with that said, most high willing, I'll be back on Monday. Tomorrow I am gonna try to get on. A lot of stuff has happened with Gabon, with Benin, with some other things going on in the continent. So I do want to address a couple of those things. Yeah, I'm just trying to make sure that these are some tough times. It really is. And I do appreciate you all support. So you'll see me over at Q2A channel. We also have our Q2A medical folks. Please make sure that you're checking out our content on Q2A. We do plan on growing the content there because we plan on doing a lot more activities here in the near and dear future. So with that said, family, you can also like, share, and subscribe. Let's go ahead and beat this algorithm. Let's beat this algorithm up. They always want to control the narrative, and their narrative is usually a whole bunch of lies, unfortunately. But we are here, and that's how we serve the Most High in spirit and in truth. See, that's what you have to, that's how you have to start beating up their narrative. Do you serve in spirit and in truth? Uh, 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 we already have literally all the tools to beat down and to expose their kingdom. We just have to do it in love. Love conquers all. It really does. Because if you love the Most High, then guess what? You're going to keep His commandments. Oh, come on. All right, that story's for another day. With that said, family, I got to get up on out of here. And with that, shalom, salama, siemi, shalom, peace and blessings. Yasharel.